you guys have read this. I've read this. Hopefully your listeners have read this. And this is the reason why the country absolutely disgustingly hates Washington, D.C. and almost every element of Washington, D.C. And so there's cowardice in the anonymity. And so I said in July of 2017, in my short tenure inside the White House, that there were forces inside the building that were, quote unquote, trying to save the country from the President of the United States. So I just want you to imagine the ego that goes into that. Here is a democratically elected official, leader of the free world, leader of the country, but yet these people think that they're smarter than him and they're smarter than the people that elected him, and so they're there to stop him and thwart his agenda. So to me, I'm not surprised by any of it. I said as much in July of 2017, which is probably, yeah, I made some mistakes on the phone line with a reporter that I trusted, but that's not the reason I got fired. I got fired because I was sitting there trying to help the president, and the people that don't want to help the president, that want to block the president, that are saying these insane sorts of things in meetings, or that are getting picked up by Bob Woodward, are, in my opinion, they're insubordinate and they're traitorous to the United States. Okay, in their act of supposed patriotism, they're actually traitors.
Anthony, do you think it is ethical for the New York Times to publish this?
I think it's ethical because of the spirit of the free press and the First Amendment. I think it's cowardice of the person that's writing it, that's seeking the cover of anonymity. But right. I do think it's ethical. I understand why there's a position that people would say that it's unethical, because why not just divulge your source? But I recognize this is important information in the marketplace of ideas. Okay, so I said as much 1 year ago. There's a cabal inside the thing. Unfortunately, the president has got a lot of great skills, great communicator. He's a prodigious campaigner, but he's not great at hiring people, and he's not great at identifying who his real friends are. And so he has a tendency to trade up on his friends. And so the people that are really loyal to him and really like him, they hit the highway at 180 miles an hour. And the jerks, and the people that I guess he's trying to impress, he allows them to surround him with their sycophantic nonsense while they're trying to undermine him. So it's a disgusting day for America. It's a poor representation of everything that the American people hate about Washington. In the meantime, despite all these obstacles, the guy's doing a pretty good job. He's deregulated parts of the economy. He's picked 2 tremendous Supreme Court candidates. The economy's on a boom. He's strengthening our international standing by bolstering our military. So many good things are happening, but you've got a bunch of people. You got to imagine the ego and the combined cowardice of this human being that is writing this nonsense. So this human being is more important than the democratically elected president of the United States or the system that was designed 240 years ago that led to the nation becoming the strongest, last best hope for mankind. This egomaniac, who is a coward, by the way, who can't put his name on a story, this egomaniac is out there thinking that he or she can protect the United States from the president.
Do you have any
disgusting day,
Anthony? Do you have any guesses of who he or she might be?
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do. But it wouldn't be fair for me to say it on your radio show because everybody deserves due process, and so I don't want to cast aspersions from here. It'll reek of bitterness from me because I was fired, right? So I don't need to be that person. But of course I do, and you guys do too. You got good sources inside Washington. You know. But the real, I'm sure it's been washed through a bad man or a letter carrier. Meaning the main culprit.
Hey, friends, and a pleasant good evening. Welcome to Lions Live on Forever Lions Network. The network built by the players for you, the fans. We still believe. We hope you do too. We're here broadcasting live in State College. You got Jacob Israel. The Grizz Jimmy Kennedy, we expect online. The big dude, Stephen Davis. My name's Skip Robinson, and we're here talking some Penn State football here. Giving a recap of last week's game as well as commentary here about what's happening in football and what's ahead for Penn State.
Instead, they want to keep the
big
job,
dude,
keep the influence,
the Cove.
While dumping.
You guys don't know how much I want to say. I regretfully say I told you so.
Why that would be frustrating to someone like that.
I was concerned Saturday, and I was telling that during the game, before the game.
At the same time.
I want to ask you, throughout this New York Times anonymous piece,
so
and
take
also in the Bob Woodward book, which we've all seen pieces of reported but haven't.
Oh, yeah, let me kill that. Take two. You guys want to try this again?
Okay. We're good.
Wow. Let me try this.
Now, of course, we know you said you don't know how much you want to tell us. You told us so, but I guess what I think what you did was you predicted a competitive game more than everybody else. I'm not so sure you gave Appalachian State credit. You kept talking about Penn State not being ready and all. And you know what, man? Give Appalachian State credit, man. I mean, they're a force in their conference, and the Sun Belt Conference, or whatever they're at. They're solid. And to me, to be honest with you, I'm actually glad you were right, because to me, Penn State needed to be challenged. There were a lot of questions to be answered. Now, let's just say if we were all right, and we all didn't talk about, big blowouts. I mean, to tell you the truth, when I was up 24-10, the game was about going the way I thought it was going to go. Even at that point, I still thought they played a competitive game. But I'm laughing and saying to myself, as good as that quarterback, I don't know if that quarterback could make those throws and get them in the life. Sometimes you just have some of those games. And you got to give it to that young man. And you also have to look at when we start to talk about the defense coming together as well. A lot of freshmen played, but I think, and looking at it, like I said, the freshmen really came of age, and we start looking at not just what the future is, but who we have now. When the team gels, I'm still hopeful. Like you said, I'm starting to think about, like you said, some of the throws and some of the things that were made. Well, some of those throws and catches, because I didn't really see the game until it was down in the stretch. So I missed most of the game. But I got there just in time to see just the heat that people had to go through to help them grow. So guess what? They did what they had to do to win. There's a whole lot more that can get better. And to be honest with you, Skip, I'm okay with that. A lot of other people perhaps aren't, just because of name recognition. But Appalachian State, man, I mean, you got to give it to them. They played hard. And, but Tracy McSorley played like he was a Heisman candidate. That's where I will go to the next point, in terms of what Tracy McSorley did to pull some things out. The defense stiffened up where they had to, and we still need to gel. I mean, like I said, first games are for that, and let me tell you something. That's the best that they probably could ever play a football game, and I'll have to give it to them. And they did it. This is Appalachian State, and I have to give it to them. And they played well. I mean, certain things shouldn't have happened, like the onside kick and a few other things that caught us sleeping. But I think we're just about there.
I still believe, man. I'm playing in the background. I still believe.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll give it to you, Skip. Well, like I said, I'll give you a double star on the prediction. You definitely have it. And you know what? It's okay.
I'm just kidding too, because not a big deal. But I just had that concern from the start. I visited a practice, and I looked and I didn't spend a lot of time, but most of us there talking to Yakov and Jimmy. And when I looked at that and I looked at some other teams, I was like, man, and then I considered Appalachian State, and how good a program they have. And I knew it was not going to be an easy game. In fact, Penn State should have lost that game. Appalachian State, all they needed to do is that guy should have just taken a knee when he was getting down by the 5-yard line and run the clock out, and they could have either run it in, pounded it in, or kicked the field goal to win it. Providence had it that Penn State will win, which is great. And
Providence had it, man. Listen to you.
Yeah. Hey, and everything happens for a reason. So I'm glad. Yeah, everything happens for a reason, man. There's no such thing as luck or chance or anything like that. That's the way it was planned out to win. It was so far it's a good plan for those of us who are Penn State fans. But no, I gotta say though, it gives rise to concern, because this week's not going to be easy with Pitt. Pitt's going to be just like Appalachian State. They're going to be hungry for a win, and especially against the interstate rivalry like Penn State, interstate rivalry like this. So we're into it right from the start. It's going to be a tough season. Hey, Jimmy, so glad you could join us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got my son at the eye doctor right now. What's going on, fellas? Hey, what's up, Jimmy? What's going on?
Now, tell me real fast, what's the heat like in Phoenix, right, or Arizona? What's the heat?
We are about 100 degrees out right now.
Ooh.
That's
dry.
That's a little dude.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Yeah.
That's the
dry. 90s. We got low 90s out there. Low 90s.
Yeah, it's warm here. It's humid hot here.
Yeah. It's dry out here, but it's cool. Yeah. So what you guys were talking about? Y'all was talking about who we look like this past weekend?
Yeah, Jimmy, let's get your take.
What you got, Jimmy? You know what? I mean, here's what it is. We're still a young squad. I mean, obviously, I can't say that we're going to go undefeated, but we can't compare our squad, Penn State, to other squads who have juniors, seniors, and so on. This past weekend, we played 22 freshmen. Yeah. 22 freshmen. And it came down, Appalachian State had nothing to lose. It was their anniversary from the last time that they knocked off a Big Ten squad to start their season and so on. So I just think they came out there with a different fight. Obviously, they had a lot of vets. I mean, Appalachian State, out of the situation, they played 3 freshmen, Appalachian State. So everyone else had experience and so on. And we're still young, so we went out there, we made a lot of stupid mistakes. And then it was just like a young team in that situation. When you go out there, you expect a team like Appalachian State to come out there in full. Like you're just going to win off your own merit. When they came in, and, when I talked to the guys, it's just like they don't have nothing to lose. So what are you guys doing? Like, you guys is, y'all better go out there and try to make something happen, or they're going to upset you in your own home. So they went out there literally thinking that let's knock off a top 10 ranked school. Let's go out there and let's, put our name on the map and so on. Obviously, we already look at Appalachian State, but because they are in the powerhouse program, that doesn't mean that they don't have talent and they can't get it done. So I just think that hopefully we could bounce back. I'm a little concerned about how we played to a point going into Pittsburgh, at Pittsburgh. But I also like the fact that we had a win, and it was an ugly win, because I think you learn from those. You learn from ugly wins. If we would have went out there and just totally destroyed, or dominated this first game, there would be nothing to correct. So I think for us, Penn State, is for us as fans, we actually get to say, you know what? It was for all the players, the old vets, the young players, and so on that we have. They actually had to look in the mirror during this break and say, all right, we aren't as good as we think we are. Look how many mistakes we made and so on. It was a lot of, ownership. You got to be accountable for the things that went on this past weekend. So the positive is offensively, yeah, I know Skip wanted us to be on the center and so on, but even with not dominating the way we wanted to dominate, we still put up 45 points offensively. So I mean that's without having all the pieces in place. That's with making mistakes and everything else and so on. We still put up 45. That's what I mean. Think about it. Even like the big time players, Jawan. He dropped a couple of big time plays, like plays that he has to make. But I understand what I'm saying. And we still put up 45. You understand? So those are the things that we're building on, and that I hope we can build on. If you want Johnson, you want to be a number 1 receiver right now, you need to go out there and you need to make the tough catches. We need to rely on you and so on, because there is no Saquon anymore. And I like the way we had a committee of running backs and so on. I like the way the line moved the ball. I like the hunger and everything else. I like how we played overall. Let's just be clear. Once that kickoff return happened, it really deflated us a little bit. You know, special teams was horrendous to a point. You know, like I said, there's a lot of mistakes and so on. But once that kickoff return, you know, because once we scored, we was going to get on top. It was just we had the momentum, and then they returned the kick, and it was just like, we went flat. Then the defense had to go back out there. Our inside D tackles, as I was watching and so on, no one was reading their keys. I know it's a bunch of young guys, but no one was reading their keys. And it's just, and you know, when I spoke with a couple of them, it's just attitude now. You know, it's attitude. You know, so it's not just about, you know, going out there and messing up like in practice, like you miss your key in practice. Like I said, we're talking about freshmen here. We talk about true freshmen. We talk about sophomores and so on. And we don't have anyone inside that's, you know, our inside D tackles are new. We don't have a lot of experience and so on at our inside D tackle spot. But what I could tell them is, in the first game, it's not like practice. If you mess up, you have to be 100 miles per hour. If you don't get that squeeze on that guard, you better be running. You know what I'm saying? Because your linebacker's gonna get blocked. If you miss that tackle, you better get up and hustle, because you can just get back in that play and cause a fumble and so on. So I just wanted to make sure that we don't get, you know, just like Joe used to always say, you know, you're not as good as you think you are when you win, and you're not as bad as you are, you know, when you lose. That's right. So we're not that bad, you know. Now it just comes with experience and so on. Let's see how we respond, how we dominate. You know? What?
Well said, Jimmy. Well said.
Yeah, well said. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw in a little something. You know, obviously, you know, there was a spread. You know, we anticipated, and you know, but you know, obviously got the win. You know, I would say, though, I would like to see, though, you know, obviously we said there were so many freshmen that played. There were so many, and I know coaches, you know, steps ahead with developing the players. And I think, you know, he did a good job of that last year and the year before. But my thing is, though, is defensively we still let up 35 points. And I feel like, you know, if that 45 gets cut down a little bit to the 30s, you know, is our defense going to be able to keep us in the game? Or is it going to be, are we going to have to win? Are we going to have to score 40 to win? You know, what do you guys think defensively? And, you know, I know, Jimmy, you saw a lot of things, but, you know, there was a lot of blown coverages I saw, you know, a lot of, like, big pass plays. You know, running game was consistent for Appalachian State. You know, they were getting consistent first downs. You know, so what are you seeing defensively? Because we know the offense, you know, basically carried the game. Coach Victoria did a great job, obviously. And, you know, I liked his attitude. I felt like, you know, the players, you know, were able to maintain their focus through all that adversity. I felt like, you know, he made the plays when he needed to. And, you know, that one series, he was like 5 for 5. So, you know, I was very much, you know, offensively, but I'm saying, what are you guys saying defensively, you know, or what is it, you know, what do we got to do, or what, because obviously 35 points, you know, we got to look at that too. You know what I mean? So what do you guys think?
For me, it goes back to what I just said, Yakov. It's just let's look at this. In terms of, yeah, we have experience. You know, there's a difference between, you know, having a next man up mentality. There's a difference between going in for a few reps versus going in for, you know, to be a full-on starter. So yeah, we have a bunch of young guys with playing experience and so on. But let's look at what our reality is. My reality is, I know we have Etor, you know, 99, who's now a starting defensive end. We have Shakatoni, who's been a backup, and he made a name for himself. We have Sharice Miller, and so on. If you look at our defense, we still was missing some key players. You know, okay, you're right. You know, so if you look at the situation, I mean, obviously I knew this going into the game. I know the situation. We didn't have Kevin Givens on the inside. No one's paying attention to the fact that, you know, we was missing our one dominant defensive tackle. Now, I knew prior to the game that he wasn't going to play and everything else and so on, but that's where we struggled. We played a bunch of young guys, and that inside where they move the ball and so on, they won't be able to do that all the time when you got Kevin Givens in the middle. You understand? Okay. They won't be able to do that when you have Manny Bowen back there and so on, running around and so on. And then on top of all that, you have to keep in mind of, yeah, these young players, they played and so on, but in reality, like I said, name our secondary. Name how many starters we have coming back in our secondary. Name how much, name the game time experience that they have and so on, where they're the starters, the first game jitters, their names getting called and everything else and so on. Like, you know, it's still a new season, a new role and everything else. So we still have that situation. And yeah, I know going into this game, the second game, that we're going to have a little bit more help coming out there to help us out. And just adding Kevin Givens back in the middle a little bit, you know, change, even if he's out there 25, 30 plays, he changes the dynamics of them running the ball inside. You know what I'm saying? Because think about this, you know, they was running the ball and moving the ball right up the middle. Well, give us our linebacker and give us our defensive tackle. And you tell me they're going to have that much success. I understand, yeah, they put up a lot of points and so on. But like I said, you know, guys still have to play, and guys still have to get comfortable and experience and so on. They won ugly. It's a lot to watch on film. It's a lot of, you know, self-evaluation when you have to look in the mirror and say, all right, here's where I'm at. Here's what I did. And, oh, my God, I can't believe I did this. Oh, my God, I can't believe I did that. You understand? Because this is a different thing when you're in practice and you get used to practice versus when the real bullets is flying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. And I would say, Cody, is that, you know, it's small stuff. To me, getting through this game with a win and playing all these other young guys and having them make those mistakes is yet, I think, another way to build the type of depth we're going to need. I mean, a lot of times, I'm sure, Jimmy, you saw people didn't get better until they knew where it was out there. It's like, hey, you don't know what it is. You're not, you know, playing your keys, your reads, you're not stopping and go. So, yeah, you're going to go suffer a certain amount of things, but they have to see what it's going to take. So that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? And then some other things were regular things. They weren't, like you said, they weren't used. Some of the guys that never ever made a tackle in a college football game. So you had some missed tackles and some other things that Coach Franklin was saying. And some of the comments I saw, he said it would take 23 years of coaching to see that, you know, they just didn't tackle well. I think that probably was the biggest thing that stood out was too many missed tackles. So we know that. And then, you know, for everything else to come along. But I think I'm encouraged, though, like I said, that a lot of people played, like he said, I mean, I don't know on any team where 22 freshmen on Penn State or any opening game ever played that man. I mean, I'd have to really look. It's quite a lot. And the young men, you know, that they scored at the end, people don't realize. I mean, we got people ahead of their time that's really made their wideout situation also interesting as well. You know, you got those folks that are ahead of the time. And then, even on the O-line, like I said, I don't know what happened. We got a guy playing center that played center last year. So, yeah, actually, the first start was against Appalachian State. Yeah, right. So, to be center and to be the quarterback of the line, so to speak, it's not even just the physical part. You probably can hold your own, but hey, there's nobody else to look at except you in the middle, you know, making your calls and doing the same things, and, you know, against the defensive people. So, yeah, you know, I'm glad they were challenged. Yeah, and I say it's fortunate for the win, and I say that's what we're getting. I think that nobody has to tell them that they have a lot of work to do. I don't think that people understand. I think people understand. I think they understand that this is a big game against Pitt, and every game continues to get a little bit better. You know, so it's the first night game between the teams since we lost, my team, in 1987. So there's a lot on the line, but I think, as Jimmy said, I think attitude is all over and finding out
what you can do, where you just don't have that remote control on your back. You know, that's what everybody they were playing. They were taking dance steps, some of those guys, on both sides of the ball. But then you got some other dudes that just loosened things up, felt good about where they were. Because I think the receiver we have again, God, I can't remember his name, but he just, number one, you know, he might be the receiver that nobody's talking about. KJ Hamler, Hamler. You know, I was like, who is this guy? Where this guy knew he was good, and I remember
he had listen, and even then, big dude, because don't get me wrong, he shows up. He shows up in practice. He puts some good. He had a good camp and everything else. But I think our best guy is redshirt this year.
Really?
Yeah. I think our best guy right now that should have been the #1 receiver may be redshirting this year. And I can understand why, given the situation and so on. So like I said, looking at film and knowing what I saw in practice and everything else, like, don't get me wrong, we played a bunch of young guys, but if we really play everyone that we have and so on that we have in the, I mean, even though they're young, get in the situation, like, man, come on. Like, inside we had Ellison play, number 42, and he's a freshman, and he, I can't say he struggled, but because he gives effort. But it's different when you're going against a senior, junior who got experience and so on versus a freshman coming out there. If you ain't, All-American caliber, or someone who has confidence and so on, especially at the D-line spot. D-line is defensive tackle. If you ain't fast and shifty and just naturally strong, you're going against, as a freshman in college aren't as strong as a senior in college or a junior in college and so on. Unless they come from a powerhouse high school program where they're known for lifting weights and everything else and so on. It's a difference between, how we always say, it's that man strength. That's the difference between college. When I turned pro and I was in the NFL, when I went there, I was playing against guys that had to feed their family, so it was a different hunger. I was playing against guys that was grown men who had an attitude that I was the first rounder and I got more money than them. Something to prove. Now, so think about it. When you go in, when you understand what my point is, what I'm about to say here, big dude. When I went to the NFL, I was excited. Like, oh, I just got paid. I get to play the game I love. I get to line up. I'm on TV. My people love me. Everything is happy, happy, happy. But the guy that I was lining up against was like, man, this is my 3rd year. I ain't get paid yet. I gotta feed my family. I got bills due. I got this, and he's trying to take my head off. I'm on cloud 9 happy. So these 22 players that I'm speaking of when it comes to Penn State, the freshmen, these guys are on cloud 9. I'm on TV. I'm in college. Just last year I was in high school balling. So I was the man in high school. Now look, I'm here. I'm playing at Penn State. Ha ha ha, happy, happy. And you got Appalachian State over there like, yeah, we got something to prove. I ain't tired of being taken, I'm tired of being taken lightly. I'm going to knock these dudes' heads off and so on. You understand what I'm saying? It's a different mentality. Really, when you think about it, though, when you're going against a true freshman, your thought is different. You know what I mean? Because you're like, if you're a senior, you know what I mean, especially a 5th year, you're saying to yourself, a freshman, that just gets me excited. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, God cannot. You know what I mean? He's not going to have everything already right out the gate. You know what I mean? So
experience
that's
matters.
A good point, though. That's a good point.
Experience matters. Hey, Yakov, to answer your question a little bit earlier about defense, what I noticed that we talked about earlier was both teams were gassed at the end. Defense, both teams were gassed. They were.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could tell they were spent. Yeah. Every team put it all out there, and you can't all of a sudden recoup, conditioning within a week. But man, you could tell everybody gave their all at that game, and defensively, I think we looked pretty good. What I noticed, I think, if you're going to come after Penn State, and something we need to be concerned about is when you start putting pressure. If you start blitzing, I think it can throw a wrench in some of the plays Penn State can have. So I'm sure if you go back, you look at the films, you're going to see other teams are going to notice this, and I'm sure they'll adjust. to that as well. But I did notice when they started blitzing, you know, we weren't getting the first downs like we were. Especially that what seems strange at the end of the game is that's when they stopped blitzing, and that's when Penn State took it right down. Now again, I'll say the defense was gassed. You know, with Appalachian State, those guys were spent. So I think, but you know, each team that got the ball on offense is going to score unless they make a mistake. But I did notice that, you know, Appalachian State took the pressure off, and when they gave McSorley time to pass, then, you know, he was able to make it happen. So that's the one thing. That's one highlight I noticed as far as some keys to the game.
Well, Skip, the thing is, even when it comes to that, that's what we built for. We blitz to throw off the time and everything else. We blitz so we can get there and get an offense out of their rhythm and so on. That's what we blitz for. Right. But here's what the thing is. How many times did we blitz and the ball hit our receiver right in the hand and he dropped it?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just about the blitz and so on. It's about the first option and so on, picking up the blitz and doing the hot reads and so on. Like just Juwan in himself, you know, Johnson, even if there's at least 4 plays that he was wide open for first downs and so on. Think about it. We had third down one time, and literally he dropped the ball. We had to punt the ball. And I'm just like, that's a 15-yard game right there.
Oh, yeah.
Sideline is perfect. Antonio Brown situation, catch the ball, step out of bounds.
Right.
You know, to keep the drive going and so on, because they just blitzed and so on. So it goes back to what I said before. Whether it's, you know, the lights is just on you, the pressure, or whatever the case would be, it's just like, you know, I want to make sure, like, even when I talk to, you know, Juwan and so on about, you know, his situation, I think when I was there, we had a couple of big-time receivers that a lot was expected out of them. And the problem is they had some big games, but they also had some games where they didn't show up. Right. I'm not naming names or nothing like that, but I'm just saying I want him to be I can't say Odell Beckham or something like that, but I want him to be every game nothing less than 60, 70 yards.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a low number.
But you know,
because I believe that he can go out there, and I think he's capable enough because he's the number one option. I think he's capable enough to have 100-yard game each week. He has the height, he has the speed, he has the talent. He just needs the consistent hands. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. When the game is on the line, because when we're talking about one and the rest of the numbers and so on, when we're talking about those guys should be second options and check downs and get us yards and so on, because our deep threat, our height, our jump and so on, we know the talent that he has. We saw from what he did at Iowa. The jump ball, he went up, won the game. You know what I'm saying? Short hands and so on.
And see, I would just say a point on that, I think, too, was he probably was not the biggest, you know, he was last year, he kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit. Like, it seems like this year, you know, he's a key, you know what I mean? So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it, or what you
what I was saying, just like what I was saying.
His role has changed.
Just like what I was saying to you earlier, Jacob, whether we had 22 freshmen or whether we had a bunch of new guys who, and I can't even say new guys, but a lot of guys whose role has changed. Because we have a lot of guys who have playing experience, you know, but we also know their role has changed. So right now, guess what? Last year, Johnson was, a third option, maybe fourth? Saquon was number 1. We had our tight end was number 2 for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So Deshaun was there. Like he was third, and then Johnson fourth for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he think about it. You go from being a number 4 to a number 1 target.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on now. And understand this. It goes back to what I said. It's not as if he wasn't getting open. He's just dropping the ball. Like, think about this. If you give him those 3 catches on third down, it's a different game.
Well, you know,
it's a different game.
You know what made a different game into with experience? You know, Jalen Moore, the running back for Appalachian State, fourth quarter, a minute and a half left. He gets the ball and he takes it to the house instead of, you know, staying inbounds.
Instead of staying down,
and instead of staying inbounds and going to the ground, around around the 2-yard line.
I mean, I agree with you on that, Skip, but I think it's a good and a bad. Like I think that Marshawn Lynch play in the pass. If you get a chance to score.
That's right. How you gonna take it away from
Sometimes that works. It's easy, like you said, to say that because the way it was going. I mean, I'm not so sure you wouldn't have done it either because you wonder. And you challenge Penn State to win. I mean, to me, the other part of it is then that good. If you're going to lose, then you will lose, and then we're going to find out how good. See, here's why I agree with Joe. Joe would say, hey, when it comes down to it, let's find out how good this kid is. And that's what I want to say at the end. I think we found out how good, just not Tracy McSorley, but everybody else in Penn State and their resiliency. It's there. I mean, that's what it was. We wanted to see because a lot of people are discouraged by last score, to be honest with you. And that's what I like that people saddled it up. You had the young boy, like you said, playing as a young man, playing as a wide receiver. And like I said, I remember it was a game went on, and it was late, and I saw Juwan drop the pass. I was like, wow, it was a great throw. I was like, wait a minute, hold on for a second. But I think that he might be encouraged by the competition. This is where I think, all of us be encouraged by the competition. I guess, like you said, Jimmy, the biggest thing is with somebody like Juwan, and even with Miles Sanders now, I mean, he carrying the ball 19 times. They have to come into it now expecting to do well. And I think that's what you're saying about Juwan. He's got to expect to do well, even on offense. We have to expect to do well all the way across the front. The 62, that's play center. He played a pretty solid game, but now he's got to really expect to do well. I think that's what it was. And all those freshmen playing, they all knew they were going to do okay. But you come in there, if you're playing, you come in and you expect to do well. That was my biggest issue being a player for a year or two. And then, you come and do something you didn't know you could do. You play against the teams at the time that lost, and Jimmy, the guy was small, Timmy Green, I mean, he was small, but he was one of the best deep tackles in the world. I didn't even know who he was. So sometimes it's like you said, it's effort, it's a head game, and it's all attitude, man, when it comes to other stuff. And I'm just looking forward to some big stuff. And then we got a 100-yard kickoff return there. That'll kill you in every other game.
Man.
I mean, and I was riding, I was trying to hurry to get home, and I almost ran off the road when I saw it. I have the score app, and I saw 100 yards. I was like, well, how much was it? So I had it up on my dashboard. I said, oh, man, 100 yards, wait a minute. So I think that's what it is. People are stepping up, but I think besides Tracy McSorley, like everybody else has got to step up. I think when we finally do have Manny Bowman out there as well, I think he'll be able to direct some of those young D tackles and having Gibbons, So, like I said, I'm just ready to see what happens against Pitt. Pitt has the athletes, and it's always a big game regardless of who plays who. We'll see what happens, but I at least feel better that we got through the game and the big-ass drive. And Tracy McSorley, I think he played well. Again, I didn't see the whole game. The last part is what a Heisman candidate is supposed to do. I think he did it.
Well said, Stephen. Well, I want to take a quick look back here. We're down to already our last 15 minutes or so here of our program. Fastest hour college football here, folks, on lionslive.com, streaming on the web and broadcast here on AM 970 WVLF and 106.3 here. We're talking Penn State football and taking a look back at last week in our picks. You guys nailed all 12 except for me, which it could have been totally reversed. Purdue and Northwestern. Purdue almost pulled that one out. I knew it was going to be close. I picked that was my upset. So that's my one. That's my one miss from last week.
But you know what? I thought we all had one because when I was watching that game, I thought we were playing Maryland. Yeah, I thought you said they were playing Texas.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and Maryland beat Texas.
They beat them.
We don't.
We all picked Maryland.
Okay. No.
We all picked Maryland.
No, we did. Maryland lost. No, wait, no. Okay. Maryland. Yeah, Maryland won. They beat Texas. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Did we pick them? I thought I picked them. Yeah, I don't know who we picked. I thought we picked Texas. I don't think they played the University of Texas, right?
No, they
played the
Longhorns. Yeah, Hook 'em Horns. Yeah. So yeah, you guys are each missed one, and I missed two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that when you say it's fair, I know I picked, because I was surprised about Maryland. You know, they're all railing and with a number of the young brother that passed away. You know, the offensive lineman, and we all still know it's going to happen with DJ Durkins, and we don't have enough time to talk about that tonight. But you know, I think that we're off to a good start. See how it goes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, great start with that. And we got this week's picks here. I don't know if you guys want to move into that real quick. I guess we get started here. Why not? Week 2 here, we got New Mexico at number 5, Wisconsin. I don't think that's anything too hard to pick, is it?
No, Wisconsin.
We're all across the board on that one. So I'm actually entering this live. If anybody out there is watching online or listening online, if you go to lionslive.com, you see our picks. You'll see them changing live real time here as I'm actually entering them for us as we're picking them, folks. So that's what I'm doing here at the studios as we all pick them. So next game after that, we have Western Michigan at Michigan. Yeah, I don't think we see Western Michigan, the Broncos pulling one out there.
Yeah, it's going to be close. Come on, Michigan's hard to tell. Sometimes. I mean, we actually played a better half against Notre Dame, but just I don't know what it is, man. I don't think the hardware thing is working, man. I just don't think so.
Makes you wonder.
With San Francisco.
Makes you
think
they'll take him back.
Right.
What do you think they'll take him back, Jimmy?
Nah, they won't take him back. He's going to Chicago, though. He's going to Chicago. He did his thing already.
Wow. Well, that's true. We have Duke at Northwestern.
Oof. You know what? I think I'm going with the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I did. That's what I got. Yeah,
I like the fact that they're in the ACCC, and it's hard to tell, but one thing is hard, man. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Northwestern's a good football team always, but they always seem to be missing something, and I just can't figure out what it is. Nah, I'm gonna stick with Northwestern on that one. Okay, I like the competition. Let me get in. My bad. What you got, Yaakov? What was that one?
What do you got? Northwestern?
Northwestern at Duke, Yaakov.
Yeah, let me get them Illinois boys.
Oh God. Like that, man. You're glutton for punishment, Yaakov. You know that, man. Yeah.
He's looking up on the Google.
Hey, that's what gave me the lead over Grizz last year.
All right. Now you have to hear that, man.
All right, how about this one? Eastern Michigan at Purdue.
Oof.
That's not that hard to pick, is it?
Yeah, it's on that one.
What you got, Jimmy?
I do.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm going with the home team. I'm reluctantly going for Purdue, man.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Hey, listen. We're going to reluctantly give you that W if they win. Like, right. Remember you say reluctantly?
I'm going to say that for the next one.
That's the truth, man. I'll stick with Purdue on this one, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're going to say that reluctantly.
He's working the system right now. He's working the system.
Y'all are funny, man. Y'all are funny.
Well, here's another one for you if you want to be reluctant. Rutgers at Ohio State.
Sorry. Why don't we just go to the next one? I think we know what that one is.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I'm going with Rutgers.
Are you? Okay. All right.
Nah, I'm only playing. I think that's unanimous. I think Skip got hype, too. You know, he got hype.
I know. I need to make a comeback already. I'm already down again.
Yeah, nah.
We got a...
Nah, Skip. We're not letting you off the hook that easy.
It'll happen. It's a long season. We got a... And by the way, hey, just so you know, Jimmy, you browbeat me bad last week, but I'm not letting you get away with it. I'm still picking Ohio State to win the Big Ten.
We're not even that far.
I know that. No, you picked it last week, and he browbeat me back to Wisconsin. Oh. Man, I ain't doing it. I'm still sticking with what I originally thought. Ohio State.
Hey, go Forget.
Yeah, I'm going back to that.
Go what you got, bro. Skip driverless. Yeah.
Oh, you think I got to go get some therapy, huh? Oh, man.
There's got to be a penalty, though. There's got to be a penalty for changing your
A penalty. you lose and you get a loss. That counts as one loss.
Well, I should have stuck with what I picked last week.
Nah, you good.
I feel bad.
You gonna lose anyway. You good. We don't need to doctor you. You gonna lose anyway.
I hope I do. They played pretty good though. I mean, they're pretty solid. I saw that game the weekend. Hey, we got Colorado at Nebraska.
And how did Nebraska do this past week? I didn't check them out. They didn't play. It was canceled because of weather. Yeah, I was going to say. I thought I was tripping out. And I think that week of rest, I want to say benefits them. I want to take Nebraska.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Nebraska. Wow. Well, you got Cole?
You want Colorado? Come on. Oh, he's.
Give me.
He's at.
Let me just look at something.
He's looking at election.
Oh. Wow. Go with a hunch, man. Go with a hunch. Yes. Yeah. Time to jump out. Oh, yeah, Cole. Yeah, Cole be making it the fastest 2 hours in college football. I go with
I'm Colorado. Whoa, okay.
You go with the Colorado Buffaloes.
Okay.
We'll go with Colorado.
I'll have a little company, and at least somebody else have one wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
they got a new coach. Hey, they do have the Hall of Fame coach, but hey.
Yeah. They can rock with nobody since Eric the Enemy, man. Come on. Yeah, EB. Adrian Madison, EB.
Hey,
EB Charles Jackson.
And we got
all right, who we got next, Skip?
We got Iowa State at Iowa. I just put everybody down for Iowa unless somebody's going to try to.
I like the Cyclones on that one, though.
You're kidding me.
What did they do the first game? I don't have enough guts to pick the Cyclones.
Hey, Jimmy, you went Iowa State. I'll put you down.
Hold on. Let me think. What Iowa State do the first game? Because I'm going off the last year. What they do the first game? Skip, you know or not? They win. They didn't play yet. That's their first game. Oh, this is their first game? Yeah. All right, I'm going Iowa there because they got a game under the belt, so they're gonna fix their mistakes.
Hey,
because Iowa's at home too. Yeah, it's home Iowa. That's always a good one.
That should be a good game.
Is it early? It's too early to be rival week, though, right?
They're pumping it up early.
Yeah, it is. Game's at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going Iowa.
Yep, I'm on Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah, they play some good teams. They play Iowa and then they play Oklahoma. Yeah.
They play some ball. Yeah. Well, this will be interesting. What do you think about Maryland at Bowling Green?
I'm going to take Maryland. I think they're going to win. I take Maryland. At Bowling Green?
Yeah, at Bowling Green.
Hey, you acting like Bowling Green got the 12 man or something. What you talking about?
Maryland just lost, though.
At Bowling Green.
Yeah, cool. Try to get that. Did Maryland just lose?
That's about the stand. Huh?
I think Maryland's playing pretty decent ball, though, all things considered. Hey. Against Bowling Green, though. I think they're better, a little bit better than them.
Penn State was a little better than Appalachian State, but it still came down to the wire.
Well, I told you it would.
Man, I'm going to pull a big dude and go reluctantly. I'm going to go. All right, I won't go with Bowling Green.
All right.
Nah, I'm not going to do it. I go with them. I won't Rockford.
You want Maryland?
I got Maryland.
I got you.
Yep. Reluctantly. I'll take Maryland. I'll take Maryland. Jesus.
Virginia at Indiana.
And what Indiana do this week? They won, right? Yeah. You know something? I think I want to go for the upset. I'm going to go for Virginia. The Bulldogs. I'm going to go for Virginia Cavaliers.
No kidding.
Oh. It's in Indiana? Virginia always plays tough.
Yeah,
they do. That's what I'm saying.
I'm with you, big dude. I'm on that one.
Yeah. Usually good in there.
I think Indiana's all that good.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna go with Indiana. Okay. I'm gonna go with Indiana. That's a good one. I think it's gonna be a good game, though. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I was going back and forth for this. So they're both 1-1. It looks like.
Okay.
The game is in the end. It's out in the end.
You say both 1-1?
1-0.
1-0. Yeah.
It's a night game.
At Indiana? Yeah, I'm going Indiana. Night game? Home? Oh, please. Indiana, bro. Let nobody come all day to think about it? Yeah. Time change, everything? Oh, yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Virginia.
Cool.
All right. Maybe a little separation.
It sounds like I'm going to be in first place next week. I'm going to call it singing We Are the Champions. We are the champions.
All right. Western Michigan at Illinois. Hey,
Jaco, lead us off, Jaco.
Yeah. Let us know what the deal is. What we got?
What you got, Jaco? You know who it is? Who is it, Skip? Tell him again.
Hey, look. They did beat Penn State. Illinois did beat Penn State.
You saying Kent State fast, so it sounds like Penn State, but nah.
I'm just saying, we got to play.
That don't count as Kent State.
Hey, I'm just saying, they still won.
Hey, it's just like that. It was ugly. It was so ugly.
Illinois. I'm gonna go with Illinois. I mean, you gotta give Lovey some credit.
Skip, who's playing again? Who is it?
Western Illinois.
Yeah, they're playing in the home.
This is a smaller Illinois school. It's like,
hey, I'm gonna go with what's the name? I'm gonna go with Illinois only because I'm gonna tell you why. Hey, yo, big dude, who's Illinois? I don't know if you're on the computer. Who's Illinois' first 4 games?
Okay, they won their games, but they got Western Illinois.
They got
South Florida, and then Penn
State.
All right, cool. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to hype Lovey up and try to make him 3-0 before he gets to Penn State. So they can say he's off to a good start so they can justify how he's been coaching lately. So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go with them only because I figured the first 4 games, I know they had Penn State so early. I figured the first 4 games they was going to try to do whatever they can to make sure he was 4-0.
Yeah, see, what I'm going to say, Jimmy, is I want to go along with the Leathernecks of Western Illinois. They call them Leathernecks.
Yeah?
The Leathernecks, I'm thinking the Leathernecks of Western Illinois because they have nothing to lose.
How much they put up last week?
They could be like Appalachian, but I don't think so.
They didn't play.
I gotta see how much they put up last week.
They didn't play.
They put up
I was checking.
You can put up where's the home score at? They got every score but that one. Wait a minute.
The only reason why I say that is because think about this, like Appalachian State, they put up 30-something points. Listen, they put up 30-something points. So if they can put up 30-something points, if they can average 30-something points, they're gonna be a force to reckon with. It just so happened that Penn State put up 45. You know what I'm saying? If the Leathernecks put up 35 points and they go out this game and they put up 28 against Illinois, they're gonna beat them. Listen what I tell you.
Right. Well, they beat Kent State 31-24.
And what was 31 points? But they put up 24. So I'm gonna still stick with Illinois on this one, only because they gave them 24 points. They gave them 24, so I think Lovey is gonna get at least 35 points on them.
Okay.
It's gonna be ugly.
I like that. Now we're talking.
I don't want to say that, big dude. That hurt. That cringed when I said it.
I know.
Hey guys, I need to say this real quick.
Cringed with that one.
I need to say.
All right, who we got next, Skip?
Well, I need to say this real quick.
All right, what's
there's
up?
going to be a live station ID break. You're listening to WBLF AM 970 and AM 970 on a 106.3 FM dial here in State College, Pennsylvania. All right, that was our live station ID break, and had to get that in quick. So I missed the one that's prompted here on the computer. I just gave the verbal cue there for it. So next we're doing our picks here on Lions Live, folks. Jimmy Kennedy, Yaakov Israel, Got the big dude, Stephen Davis. My name's Skip Ravelvis here on Lions Live. We're not a podcast. This program is not pre-recorded. So you're.
Yeah, well, big dude is the only one who got his nickname mentioned.
Oh, yeah. What you guys call me the fat man?
Why you gotta slide the big dude in there? Why you just say Stephen Davis? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Big dude. The old heads stick together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I ain't mad at you.
You know, he got a little more. He got a little more. He got
a little more clout. I gotta put some more years. I gotta put some more years in to get my grades consistent, huh? You gotta add Skip.
Yeah.
You gotta add the grid to it so I can show that I'm chocolate. Jimmy Kennedy could be anybody.
I got the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's how everybody be trying to steal my. That's how everybody be trying to steal my identity, thinking I'm a little old white man.
Hey, let me ask you.
Jimmy Kennedy.
You put Grizz.
That's how I got into Penn State.
You gotta put Grizz.
Oh my goodness.
I'm messing.
That's funny.
Hey, listen, my middle name is Wayne, right? I didn't know my whole family called me Wayne. I didn't know my name was Jimmy until I went to school.
No kidding.
So, think about this. So what happened was, when I was in first grade, right, they would mark me absent, and they would try to get me in trouble because I never said present, because I didn't know that was my name, because my whole family called me Wayne.
Hey, Jimmy.
Wow.
Hey, Jimmy, guess what? The same thing happened to me, because my parents always call me Skip. My formal given name is Wayne. I'm a junior to my dad. So they called home and said, "Where's your son?" And they said, "Well, what'd you call him?" My mom said, "What'd you call him?" I said, "We called him, and he didn't respond to his name." My mom said, "He didn't know that's his name."
Yeah. And you say your name is Wayne too, Skip?
Yeah, my formal given name is, and I didn't know that was my formal name, man. So, and I got home, I was bummed. I said, "Why'd you do that?" You know?
Yeah, and it was crazy. Hey, big dude, my whole life I've been known as Little Wayne.
Oh wow! So if I go to your part of town, nobody know you by Jimmy.
Nobody know me by Jimmy. I used to argue when I was in high school. People would be like, "Man, I thought you played football." I said you was good, bro. Like you ain't good. I ain't even see your name in the paper.
Oh wow!
That Jimmy Kennedy was a beast. Like, yo, that's me. Oh, that name ain't Jimmy Kennedy. Like, that's how my family and friends used to be growing up.
What did you do?
My whole life. Hey, listen to this, big dude. My whole life I've been known as Little Wayne. Because I'm a junior.
No,
my whole life. Hey, listen, big dude. I got a gay uncle at home. Every time he see me, he go, "Hey, Little Wayne." To this day. To this day. I went home and I was just out there with the squad. I saw my uncle. He was like, "Hello, Wayne. You out there coaching football, Little Wayne?" I said, "Yo, come on, bro." I'm just telling you the truth, man. I can't make this up.
Hey, what did they do up at Penn State, Jimmy? How'd they put your name in the program?
Jimmy Kennedy.
Well, the first when I was up here, my freshman year, the first few programs, they had my formal given name as Wayne, and then they changed it to Skip. So depends upon what program you get from that season. My name may appear two different ways.
I thought your name was Richard, man.
Oh man!
How would you get that idea?
Man,
you're kidding me?
Wow.
Well,
wow.
I saw your driver's license. I thought it said Richard.
No. Well, you thought you'd think it was Jesus, because every time I saw Mitch Farrat, that's what he called me.
Then you go get. I don't think you want to know that story too much, but
oh man,
that's what he did every time he'd see me.
Yo, man, Jimmy, you talking somebody who's off the hook, man. That's Mitch, man.
Poor Mitch, man.
He called him the pink elephant, man.
Oh man,
he's always his colors. They call that boy the pink elephant.
Man, remember he getting fights all time at practice, man.
Oh, dude.
Oh, he's a brawling dude, I'll tell you. But anyway.
Who else we got, Skip?
All right, let's wrap this up. We got Fresno State at Minnesota.
We're going Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with
you. Stick with Minnesota in the
I was Minnesota.
Yeah, we're across the board on that one. All right, then we got this is going to be a good game here. I think Michigan State at Arizona State.
Oh, that's out here.
No, Michigan State didn't play that great last week. Actually, they played okay.
I'm going ASU on that one.
Really? Oh,
that's out here. I might go to that one.
I was going to say,
well,
you get some sideline pass for that.
Well, I don't know much about ASU. I just think that Michigan State just may pull it together. I mean,
I don't know. They got Herm out here. Don't forget, they got Herm.
Well, they do, man. But they start, but I don't know, man. They start talking about everybody can see on the film what we do rugby style tackling. I'm like, yes. It's not that they don't do it. It just didn't sound right, man. I love her. Listen, one of my favorite players ever. Players, not just coaches, is Herm Edwards. You know, from the Miracle of the Meadowlands, picking up no time up, and I still remember him. You know, I still remember him saying, "Hey, if I was covering my mother in coverage, I would slap the ball away." The guy's that competitive. Yeah, I like him, and I think they're going to fall in a close game. I really think so. So I'm going to stick with Michigan City.
Okay.
I'm with you, big dude.
I'll take Michigan State.
I'm with you, big dude, on that one.
We are the champions, my friend. Hey, keep talking, y'all. Go ahead. Who's next, Skip?
Hey, the game that counts, Penn State Pitt.
Oh, man. I'm going Penn State by 3.
So what's your score?
Wow.
Penn State by 3. Let's go. I'm going to go 27-24.
Okay.
Whoa. That's close, huh?
That's a pretty good call, man.
That's a real good call.
Hey, it's a night game. It's in their stadium. I just think we're going to have the guts to pull it out. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Well, I think the young defense is going to surprise people because people have forgotten about them and they think they're going to be exploited and all that. And I think, Jim, I'm sorry, the quarterback's name 21. To me, that play he made the NBA game shows that he's going to have everybody else ready. I think we get a defensive score out of this game. I'm going to say 27-17 State.
I like that. I can do that. Come on, Cole. Wrap this thing up, Cole.
Let me see. I would say
carry the 1.
Remember, the 3 points are field goal.
Let me go.
You off with that,
31.
We go 31 to let's go 31 to 14. 31.
I like it.
31-14.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, we go.
Yeah, and I'm going to say Pitt scores first. You know, everybody's going, Pitt scores first. And then I think we're going to shut it down on through. I think Sanders and the fellas up front have got to dominate the game up front. I think that's going to be. I think our D-line, are you going to come along? Is Gibbons playing this week?
I believe so. I'll check soon as we hang up. I mean, we talked at the end of the game. He was like, I can't wait to be out there. So,
okay. Well, in fact, we get Manny Bowen playing, and I don't know if he's out for a couple of games, but I just think that I think Cam Brown is going to come along a little bit better than I thought. I think we're looking for him to be a little bit more of a dominating performer also. But I think Cam Brown is, especially in the run game, Cam Brown's going to lock it down.
I'm only keeping the game close because it's a home game for them. So crowd, everything else, and so on.
Yeah, that's a player. I mean, we beat Pitt Good my junior year, and somewhat, like I said, going there, that was a rarity. We beat them 31-0, man. We jumped on them, you know?
Yeah. But they remember that. They remember that. You know they're going to use that.
Yeah, they beat us 10-0 a couple of years later. Like, that was the last night game. In fact, we were driving, and they had Max Kisner in the game, and then we had Darren Roberts come in, who hardly ever played. And, there was all this wolfing. And I'll be honest with you, things were a little different. You know, Darren, African-American young brother from New Jersey. Everybody started mobbing him when he came in because King got hurt. And, he got the first down. It was 4th and 11. He ran for it, and they took him right back out. Now, I think if they kept down in, we might win without 3-0. And then we throw an interception, and this guy by Washington takes it to their house in the game. Send it up.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, Quintus had a really good game that game, too. So,
one of the biggest.
So you got Skip?
Well, it's one of the biggest and one of the best rivalries I think Penn State's ever had all time, and sad when we can't be.
Come on, Matt Miller, let's know what you got.
Yeah, man.
I think you picked the score right on, Jimmy. I think it's Penn State by 3. You know.
Okay.
27.
Okay, you're going Penn State. All right, Matt. I see you, Matt Miller.
Oh no! Don't get started with him again, please.
I think I might have to adjust my score, maybe.
Matt be killing me right now. And he was an honorary captain. Talk about he roots for the underdog, all this other stuff, and man, I don't want him at the game no more.
That did not work out too well for me. I thought I didn't even see much.
Hey, think about this. I told you guys even before that, when I was in the league, Matt Miller hated us. He hated Penn Staters.
Wow.
Listen, I'll tell you, I'm not, understand what I'm saying? I'm speaking, I'll tell him to his face. Based off of what he said to me when I was in the league. I'm not giving you hearsay. Matt Miller was not a Penn State fan when I went to the league, when I was in the league. He was the GM, and he was the GM with the Detroit Lions, and he was not a fan of Penn Staters. And even then, if you look at his rosters, whenever he was there, look how many Penn Staters he drafted, signed, or whatever. He never did.
Yeah, you took it that personal. Here's a guy
that personal. I'm telling you.
Well, you know what Joe did. I mean, I don't know if you heard. I mean, listen, he's the only person that I know of. I don't know, Jimmy, if you know or whatever happened. He's the only person I ever heard of that got his captaincy strip. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That tells you something. When Joe strips your captaincy, because guess what? We were in the 80s then, and they said, man, he wasn't going to chase nobody. He heard who he was. You're going to tell him this. He didn't forgive Joe. You know what I mean? He did not. I mean, he went ball out and Bruce Clark. But, you know, Bruce Clark didn't get into all that stuff, man. And now, as a real adult, older man, come on, man.
He said, listen, and understand this, I wasn't there, so I didn't know, but when I went to the league, that was the first time I've ever met Matt Miller. And he was not a fan of Penn Staters when I was there.
That's a dog with a shame.
Wow.
Yep. Oh, it is what it is.
Hey guys, it's one of the fastest hours of college football, and
it's
been a blast. I love you guys, and can't wait till we get it again next week. But just like the song says, we gotta still believe. Gotta believe, man. So hey, folks, thanks so much for listening. You got the quiz, Jimmy Kennedy. Your coach,
okay, Skip.
Big dude, Stephen Davis, and my name's Skip Applevis. We all believe. We hope you do too. Join us here next week on Lions Live, folks. Lord bless y'all. We'll catch you then. Have a great night. We'll turn our back over here to the regular scheduled programming after we hear a little more of I Still Believe. Have a great night.
Nice show.
Great job, guys.
Take care, fellas. All right. Yeah, be cool.
You believe in miracles.
We'll get you back to a regular scheduled program here on WBLF, AM 970, Y106. I'm sorry, not Y106, 106.3. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. Have a great night.
Counsel against some of the worst things will now be ignored by the president
because
he's furious about this. So there might be people very correctly and reasonably saying, Mr. President, don't fire Jeff Sessions, and he might have been barely going along with it. This is the type of piece that could throw